Hi, I'm Julie Stern, and this video gives a very brief introduction to Learning That Transfers. So Learning That Transfers is my latest publication along with some amazing co-authors that really synthesizes everything that I've done in the past. So it is a book called Learning That Transfers, Designing Curriculum for a Changing World to help our schools become adaptable. The foreword was written by Professor John Hattie. The afterword was written by Professor Yang Zhao. All of these books became Corwin bestsellers and Learning That Transfers in record time. So we're really excited to share this with the world. What we're trying to do can be pretty much summed up by this quote that was said over 100 years ago by this mathematician and philosopher. He says, "Science is built up with facts as a house is with bricks, but a collection of facts is no more science than a pile of bricks is a house." Love it, because he's talking about organization. How do we help our students organize their learning? He's also talking about structure. How do we help our students structure all of those facts into something that is durable, into something that makes sense, into something that is useful, like a house? And I love that he said this over 100 years ago, because learning that transfers is not a new thing. In fact, we like to say it is a new way of thinking about everything. So let's start with this. What do you notice about the words on the left compared to the words on the right? So spider to invertebrates, Juliet to character. You might want to pause the video and just read through them all and sort of think about the pattern that you're noticing. We love to start off with examples of whatever it is we're trying to teach. So in this case, I'm trying to teach what are concepts and what is the purpose of concepts. We would say the words on the left are examples of concepts, which are the words on the right. And they're useful because they help us to organize information. They help us to know where things belong, almost like mental file folders in the brain. So we define them as an organizing idea with distinct attributes that are shared across multiple examples. So we like to give students examples and ask them, what do you notice about the distinct attributes across these multiple examples? And they help our students to categorize or organize their world when they go around looking at different examples. And so what we're trying to do is almost like organize the mental clutter in their brain into sort of mental file folders. And it's why we love to start with, what do you notice about these examples? So this was created by co-author and co-author and mathematics lead Kayla Duncan. What is probability? And asking students, what do you notice about these three examples? We can do it also for more skill or process-oriented disciplines such as English language arts. This was made by our ELA lead, Trevor Aleo, and co-author. What do you notice, he asked his students, about the yellow sentences? What do you notice about the sentences highlighted blue? What do you notice about the sentences highlighted green? And through giving his students these examples, they were able to co-create the critical attributes of claim, evidence, and reasoning. So this is the learning transfer mental model, also known as the ACT model. We help our students acquire understanding of individual concepts through those examples that I just gave you. Then we ask them how those concepts are connected. How do they interact? And those connections, if you notice in the visual number 3, those connections in the brain are what facilitate transfer. And so we share with our students, when we ask you to connect concepts in relationship, we are building the organizational structure in your brain that is essentially making you smarter. And so it's why we're obsessed with sticky notes. This is from a teacher who just asked her students, can you put linear models, story, table, graph, and equation on individual sticky notes, and then talk about how they're organized, arrange them in some way. We love to use the desks as whiteboards where students are talking about how concepts are related and then writing a paragraph or 2 or 3 about how those concepts are connected. And those connections are what facilitate transfer. So we encourage teachers to start playing with common transfer types before they get really fancy and start doing other types of transfer. So here's an example from science. How do solubility, displacement, chemical persistence, and environment interact? Starting with waste disposal in the lab, then a chemical spill, then traditional batik dyeing, then ecotourism. So increasing in complexity as they transfer those concepts and their relationships to new situations. So be sure to check out our storyboard database where we have tons of examples of this. And you'll see in the dissimilar transfer and the student action, a lot of teachers have interpreted this really broadly and had a lot of fun with it. Others stayed more safe and kind of played with it in a safer way or a more conservative way. Whatever it is, what we're trying to do is build a culture of transfer so that students become adaptable and become agents of their own learning.